And we're back. Major Caldwell, Matt Donnelly coming at you, the dynamic duo of the ViperCast. I can say that because Tara's not right here to correct me right now. And by the time she's not going to catch part 3 of the show, so I can say just about anything I want right now as it pertains to Tara Roberts. Hey, make sure to go check out Tara's bio right now while you got an opportunity to do so. You can find her at Fantasy Pros, Fantasy Alarm, Awesemo, and she's got her own little TikTok thing going on. So make sure to check all that out. Hey, check Major out. Follow him on the Twitter machine. He's closing in on 1,000. That is a criminally low number for a man of his genius. Look at him. He is beautiful. Look at that. Take off that hat. Let's see that beautiful bald head of yours. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Bald is beautiful. Now, again, that's at Way Too Major FF. Hit him up on the Twitter machine. And if you're in the Clubhouse, he's there too. He's one of 4 people still in Clubhouse.
What is wrong with you, dude?
I don't know, but it's my anniversary and I'm getting all hyped up already. We are at hour and 5 minutes into the show. We got dynasty rankings for the wide receiver position coming at you. And in a rare show of solitude or whatever you want to call it, Major and I basically nailed the first 3 together on this one. We are going to kick off. I'm going to tell you who our top 3 wide receivers are, and then I'm going to let Major kick off from 4 to 12. So at number 1, we both have the man, the myth, the legend himself, the rising superstar of the Cincinnati Bengals, the former Bayou Bengal, Ja'Marr Chase, coming in at number 1. At number 2 on both our dynasty rankings, we're going to get a little giddy with it. And we're going to go with Justin Jefferson of the Minnesota Vikings. Now, the thing that's holding him out at number 1 spot for me is probably Kirk Cousins and not knowing what that situation is beyond a couple of years. We know that Ja'Marr Chase, he's married to Joe Burrow. That's going to be a thing they have for a long time. At number 3, this is where I was shocked that we're still agreeing. We know what he can do when he is on. A.J. Brown is one of the most dynamic wide receivers. He is a man amongst boys out there. Physicality, hands, you name it, he's got it. He's both our number 3 wide receiver for Dynasty. Now, Major, this is where we have a little bit of disconnect moving forward. We're not too far off. Our rankings are pretty close. A lot of similarities here on the ranking. The order is a little bit different. Let's start off at number 4 and work your way to number 12. And tell me what's separating these guys and how you kind of differentiated between how you had them ranked, starting at number 4 once again.
So my top 8 are pretty much all the young guys who are like the guys, you know what I mean? And then there's like a cutoff, and I went with some of my older guys. But just from this playoff run, if we can keep this momentum going, I'm going Debo all day. Debo has shown that he is a true wide receiver number 1, a true running back number 1, a true kick return number 1, a true water boy number 1. The guy does everything on the field that you need, and he has a heart of a lion. You seen him on the sideline crying, his like just bawling because he was so like upset. He gave everything he had, and he didn't, couldn't win that game. So I think with a new young quarterback, he's going to have to rely on Debo a lot more than Jimmy G did. So look for Debo to have a crazy season, maybe 1,000 yards rushing, 1,000 yards receiving. We never know. Let's see. And my guy, I don't think people give him enough credit just because Ja'Marr Chase was in the same class as him. I'm going with Jalen Waddle. Waddle, even with that poor quarterback situation out there, the guy still managed to give you, did he get 100 catches? I think he got 100 catches. If not, we're not going to fact check it, but he still gave you 100 catches with that poor quarterback play out there. Hopefully this controversy on that stuff doesn't really hurt the trajectory of that team, because they were looking like the next Bengals pretty much. But they've been looking like that for the last 2 or 3 seasons. So hopefully the Dolphins have, something in mind for Waddle, kind of showcasing him a little bit more.
Yeah, just to jump in here. Yeah. Waddle, you're right. He was over 100 receptions this year. He actually is now the rookie record holder for receptions. So he passed Antoine Bolden here last season as far as rookies are concerned.
Perfect. And then I'm going with another one of the young studs out here, and that's CD Lamb. That running game in Dallas is a mess now. So I think they're going to rely on throwing the ball a lot more. So, between him and I think Gallup's probably going to be gone. So, Cooper, he's going to give you his like 80 to 100 catches. So he's a consistent receiver, nothing too flashy. But CD is now moving into that wide receiver one position there. And with Dak, there, I think that's a good combo that you can rely on. The last of my young guys that I'm really excited about is Terry McLaurin, man. Scary Terry is one of those guys last year. That run he had, man, it was one of those Jamar Chase type of runs. Um, his quarterback situation is the only thing that really scares me. We don't know what's going on there. Hopefully, they can maybe get a Deshaun Watson or a Jimmy G or anyone. They just need some kind of stability there. I think Scary Terry is one of those quarterback proof receivers, but he just needs someone a little more consistent. I think they went through 4 different quarterbacks this year. Then you got to go with the first white wide receiver to win the Triple Crown. You got to go with Cooper Kupp. It seems like he just got on the scene, but he's really like 28 years old already, 27, 28. So he's kind of getting up there in that age where I like to trade my players away. But you still got to respect the season he had, and I think it's only going to get better from here on out, especially if they win a Super Bowl. I think it's going to be cemented him as one of the top receivers in the league for years to come. And then you got to just go with the receiver that no one can stop, and that's Devonte Adams. The guy makes it looks easy to me. Him and D Hop are the two who it's effortless. Like every catch, like seems like a one-headed catch. Seems like they're going half speed, but they always seem to get open. Again, Matt talked a little bit earlier about his situation with Aaron Rodgers maybe not coming back. I think he'll be looking to be traded or moved or whatnot. So it's a little question mark there. I think that's why I have him a little bit lower. And I spoke about the next one here, Deontay Johnson, as being he could disappoint. But I do think whatever quarterback, I think they're going to go with a veteran out there with the Steelers. So I think he will have an opportunity to give you that 100 plus catches, 1K yardage season. He's been pretty consistent in his career so far. And then you just got to go with the monster himself. You got to go with DK Metcalf. He's another one of the younger guys. His situation is a little up and down as well because we don't know what's going to go on with Wilson out there. And if Pete Carroll is Pete Carroll going to come back? It's a lot of question marks out in Seattle at the moment. So that's why I have DK. He didn't make it to that top tier of the young guys. And I'm going to round it out with the man, the myth, the legend, DeAndre Hopkins, Nuke. That dude is just the best receiver to like. Should I say that? I'm not going to say that. I'm going to say he's one of the best receivers because I don't want to disrespect Randy Moss and Jerry Rice and those guys, but he's right in that tier for me. The guy is just a route running. You guys always try to make jokes about Hunter Renfrow as the great. This guy is the greatest route runner to ever play football, and I'm giving it to him. DeAndre Hopkins, Nuke. Let's go. Who you got for your top 12?
I think the most impressive thing with Nuke Hopkins is those hands, those mitts of his. If that ball is thrown in his direction, he's coming down with it.
His hands like 14 inches long or some crap. Like, it's like a crazy number, right?
Hey, you know what?
His glove to make it fit right, you know?
I'm basically Kenny Pickett here, so I got nothing to say. My number 4 receiver. Hey, I'm not afraid of going with a little bit of an older guy here, and I don't care where his situation is because he's quarterback proof in my opinion here. I'm going to go with Devonte Adams at number 4. I still think he's right there. I think redraft, he's still number 2 coming in. I like to play my dynasty in kind of 3-year periods there. He's still got 3 top 2 wide receiver type seasons here coming up, regardless of where he ends up. If he's in Green Bay, he's guaranteed a wide receiver 2. If he goes to Vegas, he's guaranteed to be a wide receiver 2. If he goes to Jacksonville, he's going to be the wide receiver 2 no matter what, if not better. So for me, he's quarterback proof. And this one hurts a little bit because he probably was higher going into the season for me. When I did my Dynasty wide receiver rankings, he sat right here in the number 5 spot. I wanted to bring him up during the regular season because I really believe in CD Lamb, CD Goat, whatever you want to call him. I think he has that ability right now. Unfortunately, it wasn't on display this year. It was in spurts. He still had a 1,000-yard season, and we want to dog him for that. And I don't think that's right. At number 6, I talk about those 3-year spurts. Cooper Kupp is still there. He's still the wide receiver 1 for me in redraft next year, and probably the wide receiver 1 for me the year after that, and the wide receiver 1 as long as Matthew Stafford is in the building. Okay, let's be honest. The Breakfast Club, whatever you want to call those two, it's working. So for me, Dynasty, he's still going to sit there at the wide receiver 6. At number 7, I'm with you. I love myself some Debo. There is no other Debo Samuel in the National Football League. So we know the National Football League is a copycat league for everything that it is. Do not try and make another Debo Samuel because you will fall on your face and look like an idiot, which is pretty much what I do every week on this show. And it doesn't stop me from coming out and doing it again. But please, National Football League, stop it. You had Cordero Patterson. You moved him from wide receiver to running back. Debo Samuel is the closest thing you're going to get to being able to do both. And it's not like he's a pure running back. Him lining up directly behind center there in an eye, he does do it, but it's not very often. It's those jet sweeps. It's the things that he does best, the yak, yards after contact. The dude is a beast. The only one better than him this year was Cooper Kupp when it came to that. At number 8, you had him at number 5. I love myself the Penguin. Give me a little Jalen Waddle, bing bang.
Waddle, baby, Waddle.
Those catches, those targets, they're not going anywhere. There's no one else to talk about. Will Fuller, how do you have a whole season that you're out with a finger injury? Cam Akers just came back from a blown Achilles tendon, and you missed an entire season because of your damn finger. And yet,
before you go off of Waddle, he could be the next Debo. You see, they got the 49ers coach out there. They might have some packages for Waddle to come out the backfield and everything as well.
They're going to get him on some sweeps. They're going to get him on the bubble screens. Waddle shifting. He was a punt returner, a kick returner at Alabama, and he did it really, really well. He was dangerous doing it. You either have it or you don't, and you know what that's like. If you've got that shifty ability, if you've got that ability to make people miss an open space, the National Football Leaguers, good offensive coordinators will scheme around you and your strengths. At number 9, Mr. Boom or Bust himself. And I never know where to put him because I never know what to expect. And it's Tyreek Hill. I mean, he could be wide receiver 20. He could be wide receiver 3. It all depends on what he decides to want to do. He literally had like 5 games this year where he had like over 160 yards receiving. Don't fact check that. But he also had like 12 games where he had like 50 yards receiving. So you're going to get that boom bust. At the end of the year, he's going to be in that top 5 wide receiver conversation as far as fantasy points are going. But the inconsistency is going to be there as well. At number 10, I'm going to give it to the Pacific Hulk here, DK Metcalf. Don't make him angry because he'll dye his hair green. This is the guy here right now. We know what he can do on the field. The only question around him is who's going to throw him the ball next year. That's why he's a little bit lower for me. I don't know if Russell Wilson's going to be cooking in Seattle or if he's going to be making a little bit of gumbo down in New Orleans. I don't know what situation, but who knows? At number 11, hey, when any time that you make your little brother look like an idiot on the football field, you get bumped up. Maybe that was the only thing I took from the Pro Bowl here was basically Stefan Diggs going back to throw is hey, that's my brother, and starts running towards him, pointing at him as he's falling down. So Stefan Diggs, he comes in at number 11. And at number 12, little bit of I don't know where people got him, where people are feeling. It's T. Higgins for me. I really think he has a wide receiver 1 potential. We've seen what he can do with Jamar Chase in the lineup. He is going to flirt with that all year long, his entire career. Tyler Boyd likely will not be back in Cincinnati. That means those targets get distributed a little bit differently. Jamar Chase is going to continue to get his. I think T. Higgins gets a few more targets, which is going to bump him up these rankings a little bit more moving forward in his career. Now, this is where things really do get a little bit interesting. We have some guys a little bit different. Some of the guys in my top 20 you don't have and vice versa. So kicking off at number 13, Major, who do you have?
I went with the guy you spoke about. What's that? At number 8? No, number 9. I'm going with Tyree Kill. again, it's just the up and down. At the end of the season, he's going to have all the numbers that you want, but week to week in fantasy, he will drive you nuts. He'll have 1,000 yards one week, and the next week he'll have 5. So it's just the up and down a little bit for me. And I think they're going to have to get another receiver in that offense. So I think that's going to pull from, a little bit of the target share from him, but nothing to be scared about. But just if he was a little more consistent, he'll be in my top 5. But the next one I have here, I'm going with Stefan Diggs. Again, the guy is just one of the best receivers, but age kind of bumped him down my list a little bit. At 15, I'm going with Chris Godwin. A lot of people kind of forgot about him, and it's weird because he was balling throughout the season, and he got hurt late in the season, and no one's talking about him anymore. So, and is he a free agent this year? Yeah, so he'll be a free agent this year. So it'll be interesting to see if he will stay in Tampa Bay or if he will try his hand at another team. And again, I'm with you with the T. Higgins thing, man. I don't have him ranked as high as you, but I do think there's going to be opportunity with Tyler Boyd probably moving on. Um, I think they're going to get a tight end in there, so I think it still will be like a 3-headed monster type of thing. But I think T. Higgins and Chase are going to have the most of that target share. So I think he's going to have an opportunity to give you. They're going to have 2,000-yard receivers, 200 catch receivers in the same team. That's pretty much what's going to be. My next one, it got hard for me because there's a lot of good young receivers towards the bottom of the list. So I just went with some that just kind of popped out to me. So it's really no order here, just like random guys. But DJ Moore, if they can get that quarterback situation together out there, I think he's one of those guys who will move up this list real easy. He's one of the young guys who fell off the list just because I don't know what's going on at quarterback. And I think he kind of proved this year that he's not quarterback proof. Because the quarterback play was suspect and he didn't ball out. So I got him at 17 on my list here. And then at number 18, I went with Rashad Bateman. I think he's going to have a monster season next year. He didn't really get to play in the off season and stuff like that. And it's really important for those young guys to get in there early and get that rapport with the quarterback. And it looks like Lamar Jackson is throwing the ball a lot more now in that offense. And I think he's going to be he might be the wide receiver number 2 behind the tight end there. So we'll see what happens with that situation. But he has all the talent. And I think having a full season under his belt, he will take that next step. And another person that I was kind of debating on adding to my the questions in the second segment of the show, players that can make a comeback. I'm gonna go with Calvin Ridley here. Like, he's a proven receiver. He's shown that he can do it with and without a wide receiver number 1 in that system. I think there was some stuff going in there mentally. I don't know if it had to do with like COVID and all the stuff that's going on in the world that we all feel day to day. I don't know if it's that or if he just didn't want to play with Matty Ice, who was not getting him the ball. So, but the talent is still there. That's something that you cannot question. The route running, the hands, the speed. Calvin Ridley is one of those guys, and maybe a new situation to help him out as well. And for number 20, I just went with like a wild card. It was a lot of people who should be higher than this one, but the highest ceiling for me is Cadarius Tony. That little 3-4 games he gave us this year where he was just like the greatest receiver in the whole league. If he can find some consistency with that, he will for sure be in that top 10 throughout this season. So that's my list there. What do you think?
Yeah, when I look at this here right now, we've got 3 guys. You got 3 guys in your top 20 I don't have. That's Bateman, Ridley, and Cadarius Tony. Now, I don't have Cadarius Tony in there because I think Sterling Shepard is going to be that target machine. They're going to split. They're going to cancel each other out when it's all said and done. Calvin Ridley, wild card. I don't know what to expect from him. If he's going to play 16, 17 games, he is absolutely going to shoot himself into top 5 consideration moving forward. He's going to be a top 5 wide receiver. That's where he belongs. Rashad Bateman, you know how I feel about the Bateman, right? I mean, when we're talking about wide receiver 1 in Baltimore, there's no question about it because his competition is Marquise Hollywood Brown, and he ain't it. So for me, I love myself some Rashad Bateman.
Watch
So
your
I'm all
mouth
there
about
for you.
Hollywood. Watch your mouth about Hollywood. COC alone.
Yeah. Whatever. He's not a running back. I can badmouth him. Now, that means I've got 3 players that you don't have, and we'll get to this here in a second. At number 13, I'm going to go with your number 15 wide receiver. I'm going to go with Chris Godwin, the free agent. I don't know where he's going to end up. I don't know if he's going to go back to Tampa Bay. We don't know what the quarterback situation is going to be. If we had some more security about what his role is going to be in 2022, he could be a little bit higher, but for me, he's a little bit down. And that's same with my number 14 wide receiver, Terry McLaurin. I mean, Tyler Heineke, so close, want to touch your Heineke. He just didn't touch anybody with the football last year. It was missed everywhere. So Heineke is a good quarterback. He has a role in the National Football League. I just don't think it is an everyday starter right now. He can definitely come in and spot start. He can give you 4 or 5 games, absolutely. But if they go through the draft, there's not a quarterback, in my opinion, ready to step in right now. So you're looking at 2 years of waiting on Terry McLaurin, probably to become, if they go the draft route, to become Terry McLaurin that we know that he is. Unless maybe Ryan Fitzpatrick gets another opportunity there. No. I don't know, as a bridge quarterback. Maybe,
but for me, good quarterbacks out here now.
Yeah, but for me, Terry McLaurin right now, that's why he's so far down my list right now, because I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what that situation is going to be in Washington. Hell, they can't even pick a proper name for their team, for crying out loud. The Commodores, the Commanders. I mean, are they Cobra Kai? Are they G.I. Joe? What are we going to call them? Are we going to literally call them the Washington Commies? Seriously, it just doesn't make sense. You don't give your team a 3-syllable name. You just don't do it because you always shorten it up. It's what it happens. There's too many syllables in Washington Commanders. 5 syllables right there. That's too many. You got to shorten it up. You got the San Francisco 49ers. We call them the Niners. So I digress. Let's keep on going here. Number 15, DeAndre Hopkins. He's getting up there a little bit. He's got Kyler Murray throwing him the ball. My biggest worry is right now is we've seen it now 2 years in a row. I know injuries play a factor in it, but we see a regression in Kyler Murray from like week 8 on. Last 2 seasons. Maybe that's a disconnect with Kingsbury and getting that offense going. Now we got Kyler Murray wiping out his MySpace account and his LinkedIn and all that other fun stuff that you get on the social medias. But, I mean, Kyler Murray, DeAndre Hopkins, we know Hopkins is pretty much quarterback proof from his time with the Texans there early on in his career. But I don't know what that situation is, so he's down a little bit more. Now, the next 2 players I have in my rankings, you do not have. And I'm kind of disappointed in you because we have talked about both these guys. One is a USC guy.
Yeah.
Michael Pittman. Are you kidding me? I think I might even be too low on him here at number 16. This guy is the real deal. Whenever you can produce over 1,000 yards with Carson Wentz as your quarterback, you got the goods. At number 17, again, the disrespect.
It was so hard for me to keep him off the list. It was really hard, but go ahead.
I think I'm still too low on him here at 17. I'm trying to find a way to slide him up. I think he can give you better production than even Tyreek Hill and all this other fun stuff. It's Hunter Renfrow of the Vegas Raiders. Let's put some respect. What he did this season was no fluke. Expect more. My next guy, here's a shocker, not on your list. A little bit older.
It was age. It was all age, yeah.
He's still tied into Justin Herbert. Okay, it's Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen at number 18, tied into Justin Herbert. That's an automatic top 20 for me. You got a good quarterback. Like I said, I mentioned I play my dynasty in 3-year periods. Keenan Allen still has a 3-year period for me that I like quite a bit. At number 19, you have him right in that same area. Number 17, it's DJ Moore. Come on, Mr. DJ. You know what I'm saying? I think he can still do it. But again, quarterback situation is key. It's not going to be Cam Newton next year. Cam Newton, we've seen better days from. Is it going to be Sam Darnold again? I don't know. Which Sam Darnold are we going to get? Are we going to get weeks 1 through 4 Sam Darnold? Because if that's the case, DJ Moore moves up. If we're getting Sam Darnold, who are you going to call type Sam Darnold? Then DJ Moore is going to go down a little bit lower on the list. And coming in at number 20, apparently, I'm looking at your list. You got him at number 10. We talked about him being a guy likely to disappoint. I had him as a guy that was likely to disappoint. Heck, I said Jacoby Myers would outscore him this year. And I felt comfortable in saying that because I was really concerned about the drops of Deontay Johnson. And I was wrong. Absolutely, I was wrong. I got no problem admitting that I was wrong. I could take it. But for me, Deontay Johnson comes in at number 20 because I couldn't drop him any lower because 20 is an absolute steal for him. But who's your quarterback? Who's that going to be? I think he benefited from a noodle arm Ben Roethlisberger last year who couldn't throw more than 5 yards down the field because he was catching 5-yard hitch passes and bumping up those PPR numbers. Now, we've got a couple little things here I want to talk about. I mentioned these names in the draft. We got some big-time wide receivers coming out. Are any of these wide receivers potentially going to make your top 20 list? These rookie wide receivers make your top 20 list before kickoff of the 2022 season? Is there a guy that you're like, you know what, he could do it? Or is there multiple guys that maybe could jump ahead of Cadarius Tony, Rashad Bateman, Calvin Ridley for you?
Absolutely. I mean, Drake London to me is size, speed. To me, he's like the total package when in the draft. And Treylon Burke, both of those guys have similar size, running ability, hands. But if Drake can, I've been hearing some rumors about him getting drafted by the Chiefs, the Kansas City Chiefs. If he can get on the Chiefs, that will be explosive. So, and Garrett Wilson to me is one of those guys who I think he's underrated. Chris Olave that dude makes big plays all the time. My guy James Williams, he's one of the best. I love David Ball. John Minchie's one of my guys. I love George Pickens. I think he's underrated as well. Like no one really talks about him. There's a guy out in Boise. What's his name? Shakur, Tupac's little homie, I guess. But he's a guy to watch out for too. So this draft has a lot of young talent, and it seems like the league is leaning towards the young talent. They're kind of leaning into it. Before it was to be like a year or two, have to wait, to get in the game. But now day one, you guys are wide receiver ones now. So there's an opportunity for them for sure to make that top 13, but to make that top 10, I don't know about that.
Yeah, I can see a few of these guys coming. We rattle off these names multiple times. None of these guys should get down to the Chiefs. Okay. There's no way Drake London should drop down to the Chiefs. I would be absolutely shocked if he got down that far. I mean, it's possible. We've seen crazier things happen. We've watched Jalen Reagor and Henry Ruggs go before guys like Justin Jefferson in the past. So, who each to their own.
There'll be a lot of defensive people selected in the first round too. So keep that in mind.
It does. I mean, I don't know if there's enough slots to get everyone I want in the first round round. I mean, I can see 5 of these guys potentially cracking the top 20 as early as this year. I mean, you mentioned Treylon Burks. We're going to hear lots of good things about him. Garrett Wilson, we hear all kinds of things. It's a pick your poison type thing. Whatever you're looking for, this draft seems to have for you. And if you're a good offensive coordinator, you're going to be able to find a way to get these guys the ball and potentially get inside the top 20 as far as fantasy production is concerned. Now, with that said, I mean, we're looking at this list. It's 20 deep, and it was tough to exclude some of these players.
Yeah.
I mean, there was guys I left off my list that I was like, oh, man, I really got to find a spot. And then I look at my list. I'm like, I've got nowhere to put them. Same. I mean, I cannot honestly put them anywhere. If you want more of my list, my entire rankings is over on dynastyvipers.com right now. The whole rankings list, go check it out. It's all there. Now, and that's for everything. Dynasty, redraft, rookie rankings. They're all right there. Check that out. Now, my biggest question is here. We're talking about drafting. We're looking at maybe some draft strategy in 2022. I think this is the time more so than, and I'm a dinosaur when it comes to drafting. I'm a heavy running back round 1, running back round 2. You're the same way for the most part, I think.
Yeah.
And you're looking at this, and I'm like, I might really deploy a anchor running back, hero running back strategy because I want to maybe get my running back in round 1, but I may go 3 wide receivers in the next 3 rounds. We've seen what happened to some of the best running backs in the league this year. They were hurt. They were banged up. We saw injuries galore at the running back position. Those 0 RB truthers, they were licking their chops all season long. That said, if you deployed some kind of strategy where you went that anchor running back, you went with maybe a Derrick Henry or a Ezekiel Elliott in the first round, and then you followed it up, and I can see why you would, Allen Robinson, and then a Calvin Ridley, you were going to find yourself in a very same situation as a lot of people that went running back heavy. There were some key injuries at the wide receiver position. I just think it was easier to overcome that by going heavy wide receiver this year if you did that. What do you think? What would your draft strategy be for 2022 as it pertains to this wide receiver class coming in and the wide receivers in 2022.
Yeah, like I said earlier, the game has changed tremendously in the last year or two. It's now fully a passing league, but the difference from the couple years before, your quarterback is most likely going to be stealing some of those touchdowns away from your running back. So the running back is kind of getting fade out, and it hurts me to say it. It hurts me to say it. And then when you see performances like Justin Jefferson, and you see people like Jamar Chase, you got AJ Brown, you got Debo, you got all these receivers who are like becoming the number one target on their team. You have to kind of lean into it a little bit. But I don't know. I'm still a dinosaur and I'm stubborn as hell. So I'm going to still probably go running back, receiver, quarterback.
I mean, if you're looking at redraft, I think you got to go with something very similar to that. I think I'm going to go lean more heavily on the wide receiver position, I think, next year. Maybe go get some running backs late in the draft. Some guys like the Sony Michel's and stuff. The guy players, Elijah Mitchell was another guy that a lot of people grabbed late. There are some good running backs coming this class. We talked about that on one of our earlier shows. The Breece Halls, the Isaiah Spillers. These guys are going to find roles with teams where they're going to probably be running back by committee type guys. That's the way that the NFL is going. 10 years ago, I bet you 25 teams had a solid RB1 committed. A couple of years back, you were looking at half the league. 3 years ago, you're looking at maybe 10 running backs had that bell cow status. This year, I think it was down to 6 running backs that had that bell cow status, and a couple of them missed good chunks of the season. I think that number is going to continue to dwindle down. The running back by committee is going to continue to go up, which I think is going to drive up the value of these wide receivers. We're looking at some good young ones coming in and some good young talent already in the National Football League. So, hey, that is our show for today. We are going to stop talking. We can keep going on all day long when it comes to this wide receiver class, this dynasty wide receiver positions, and the wide receiver watch list. We can go on for hours when it comes to this, but hey, we got to go. You got to go do something. Get back to work, whatever you're doing. I know you're watching this on YouTube at work because let's be honest, there's not much probably going on at work right now. So, hey, if you're there, if you're watching this on YouTube, there's a subscribe button. It's like literally right down there. Well, not it's
close.
Yeah, it's over by me. It's on major side of the screen. Hit it. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. Let us know who we're missing out of our top 20 wide receiver rankings. What did we nail? What did we miss? Let us know what you think. And hey, check us out. Apple, Stitcher, Spotify, you name it. That's where we're at for all our podcasts. Rate and review the show. Let's get this subscription number for the Dynasty Vipers ViperCast up to over 500 on the YouTube channel. Greatly appreciate you guys spending your time with us each and every week. And you know what? We will be back next week. Hey, we might even have some draft preview shows going on. I'll be back next week. Major will be back next week. Tara's going to be back in the house. We're going to get ready to rock and roll. And you know what? Make sure to head over to fantasypoints.com. You want to keep on rocking in the free world? Well, 30% off your subscription. That's about as close to free as you're going to get nowadays. So again, head over to fantasypoints.com and we will see you next time. Take care now.